Hi, this is Doug Ward from Tech Britain. We're in Cardiff today. I'm here with Rob Laboo from Applingua. Thank you very much, Rob, for your time.
Thank you.
I should say for our audience that you're the founder of the company. Can we let them know about yourself first? That'd be great.
Sure, I'm Rob. I'm 25. I come from Cardiff, just down the road, and I started Applingua around 18 months ago.
And for our viewers, can you just talk them through the company?
Sure, so Applingua takes iPhone apps or Mac apps in English and translates them into French, German, Italian, or any supported language for the iPhone or iPad.
Awesome. And is there a website they can find out?
Sure, you can find out more at applingua.com. That's applingua.com, and all the information is there.
Fantastic. In terms of going from your background into the company, how did that come about?
So around 2 years ago, I was working for a software company in Munich, in Germany, and as part of my role, I was asked to help translate the apps into different languages. I dealt with traditional translation agencies, like most people would, and I found that really they didn't have much of an idea how an iPhone looked or how it operated. Just silly things like you probably don't think about, but you can't click on an iPhone, you have to tap, but they would always translate the English word tap to click in French or German, and it just wouldn't work, basically. And there's also specific terminology on an iPhone, like the settings app, which they just didn't know about. So I thought, I can change this, I can make this better. I came back to Britain and I started Applingua to do so.
Fantastic. And what was the reason being based in Cardiff?
So at first it was to do with money. And also, although I do speak German, the whole system out there is crazy. The British system is really, really good, really, really easy to start up. So I came back here, I crashed at my parents', obviously didn't have to pay rent, thank you, and started up Applingua here, just because the environment was much easier and I knew it.
Awesome, and that was like the lean startup, kind of embracing that philosophy.
Yeah, very much so. So I'm fortunate enough to have nice parents who paid, didn't make me pay rent, and also I started the company with just £200, and really that was just a little bit of savings I had left over from my last job.
And what did you start with? I mean,
just my computer. Just my computer, which was 4 years old, and you can just make a website for free almost nowadays. And I used Twitter originally to find my first clients, so that's totally free, and went from there.
So you went to the customer first and said, I mean, how did you go about from like idea to actually?
So originally I knew I had to get some things sorted, so I needed to find translators for the most obvious languages like French, German, Italian, Spanish, Japanese. So I went online, I found out where translators advertise themselves, basically. I spoke to a few of them. I said, in a few weeks you may get some work from me, may not, I don't know how this is going to work. Give me your CV, give me some information about how you work, your rates, your payment terms, things like this. I made clear to them that when the first project comes, I will have to wait basically for payment before I can pay them. They were perfectly fine with that. They're used to being paid on 28-day or 30-day terms. And it went from there basically. So then I found my first client. We did the project together. The translators were very supportive. Got paid for that project pretty quickly, which is quite good. And paid off the translators. And it went from there.
Fantastic. Good story.
Yeah.
In terms of your thoughts on Cardiff's tech community, what would you say from an outsider looking in? How would you describe it?
So when I came back here, probably now just over 18 months ago, it was totally different from how it is now. When I came back, it was a lot quieter. There were a few people tweeting, talking, but there wasn't many places where people could meet. There wasn't much activity going on. But over the last 18 months, it's amazing how much it's grown. There are people talking. There are 2 co-working spaces now in Cardiff. There are people talking about it all the time. There are Facebook groups. There are several LinkedIn groups, really active as well, like the Facebook group. You can go on there, you can join up, you can see what people are talking about, sharing information, sharing helper tips and tricks, advice. It's fantastic. And there's definitely a sense now that the community is coming together, and we're really thinking about starting up our own kind of tech centres or incubators, I suppose, where not real, there's not that much cash flowing around, but there's a lot of advice flowing around. There's a lot of companies here who have been working for 1, 2, 3 years and got a lot of information to share, and people really want to do that.
Seems a real buzz from the ground up happening in Cardiff.
Definitely.
What do you see for the future of the tech community here?
So I hope now the growth will be as good as it has been for the last 18 months. I hope in 18 months' time we can look back and actually have a dedicated place where people can go to, where students graduating from the 3 or 4 universities in Cardiff can just go straight there, look for advice, and employed people can go there, look for advice on how to start up and give their ideas a try. I know that because Cardiff is quite a varied place, there's a lot of tech here, but there's also a lot of kind of bricks and mortar startups happening as well. I hope that we'll be able to integrate all that to help anyone with any kind of idea they come to.
Awesome. And in terms of the government role, what's your thoughts on their role to play in the tech community?
So I think they definitely have a role, but I think that we shouldn't wait for them. I think they need to introduce certain things which make it easier to start up. Don't get me wrong, it is quite easy in the UK already, but there are definitely things that I've noticed over the year and a half. But honestly, my advice to someone thinking of starting up is to not wait and just do it like we've done in Cardiff, I suppose, from the ground up, and like initiatives from us rather than from the government.
One thing I thought was very interesting off camera, the experience you had in terms of, it was a scheme with national insurance. Can we share that with the viewers?
Yeah, sure. So what really helped me, and I think the government definitely, this is George Osborne, there's praise for, was in his budget just shortly, well actually, as I was paying my first wage, there was the budget last April, and he introduced the National Insurance Holiday Scheme, and that allowed companies, limited companies, or all companies, to pay their first, I believe it was 5 employees, without having to pay the employer's national insurance. So this is something that a lot of people don't come up against. They don't realise that when an employee gets paid, the company also has to pay an additional, I think 12% on top. And I didn't have to pay that. I joined this scheme, it was really easy to sign up. I didn't have to pay the national insurance. So it saved me over the year quite a few grand actually, which could be used to buy a new computer or the website or something like this.
So the government really are trying. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But I guess the flip side is, speaking to you about that experience, you then, when it came to the scheme coming to an end, you then had time-consuming difficulties.
That's right. So the actual scheme, how it worked, I had no problems for the 12 months. When it finished, there was a little bit of confusion at HMRC over how I should have reported those figures over the year. So now I'm in the process of actually remedying that, fixing it. Something I could be doing without, but unfortunately that's the case.
So I guess that's kind of what we want to come across. That time could be spent on the company creating more jobs. So kind of, if they could get rid of a bit of the red tape.
Definitely, yeah. There's a little bit of red tape, which we don't need at all. Also, just a way of simplifying information to people. I have a big issue with HMRC's website and Business Link websites. I mean, they are slowly improving, but actually to find a nice, easy checklist of what a startup needs to do or what any company needs to do is quite difficult to find. It's a lot of text. It doesn't need to be that difficult.
Many PDFs that you have to go through.
Definitely.
Yeah, that's just, many people have said similar things. Sure. In terms of the future for the company, what is the vision?
So we want to be the best app translation company. I think we already are on our way. We have some really excellent clients, global clients, very big names. I've probably commented them on camera, but very big name apps. They're great. And we just want to further that, make things much easier for the developer to translate their apps. We want to, I suppose, disrupt translation in a little way. We don't want it to be something that people think, oh, now I have to translate. It just has to be a nice part of their own normal development process. Get it done, finished.
Fantastic, I look forward to using it. Just to end with, Rob, I'd like to ask your thoughts on the culture in terms of tech startups, kind of the defensive nature that we kind of have in Europe of embracing failure. I want to see if you had any experiences around that nature.
About failure. Yeah, so I'm a firm believer that if you don't try, then you'll never succeed. And honestly, I do hope Applingua will be here in 5 years' time. But if it's not, it doesn't matter. I've learned so much from the last 18 months. You know, there is no amount of money I could have paid to have learned what I've learned starting up. So I would advise anyone do it. Don't think about failing. Be sensible. You know, make a brief outline of what your objectives are with a business, but really don't be thinking about failure. Don't be thinking about failing, because if you haven't tried, you'll never succeed.
Fantastic. Well, I'd say thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
It's been a real pleasure.
Great. Thank you.